to the bread and butter of the league Friday night, but I presume you expect a different Derry City to arrive after a good victory over Rovers on Friday.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's been quite a few changes in Derry. Obviously, Conor McCormack, Kieran O'Connor, they come straight back in because obviously they were cup tied, and they've been influential to Derry's results in the league over the last probably 2 months. Any of the games that they seem to have got good results, those lads have been playing, and obviously the big impact. Paul Hegarty has taken over sole charge, and as we knew before the cup game, he'd come in the background, and he'd been doing a lot of work in the background. And I suppose, look at the first cup game away, it was a very tight game. Derry might have felt they should have won the game then, but even though the 3-0 scored home probably flattered us in the end, obviously we were well on top. We had lots of opportunities, but still it was 0-0 with 15 minutes to go. But so I think you just look at what's after happening. Paul's after moving in last week. They've beaten Rovers, it's a huge 3 points from, and I expect they'll come down to us, and they'll be very tight, very very G'd up, and they'll play in the counter attack, and they've a lot of pace, and the good thing is the game is on TV, so hopefully it'll be a lively affair.
The last player I know that you rated as well after half an hour on Friday night, Patrick McElhenney, he's doubtful now for the weekend.
Yeah, I suppose to be fair to him, he was outstanding in the home game against us in the cup, and even last week, you could see he caused us a few problems, but we handled him better. Look, he's a huge player in the league. He's one of the best players in the league, but I still expect that he'll be on the bus down to Cork.
And the 10-day break that you've had now, an opportunity for knocks to be cleared up, and I presume you probably nearly have a full squad to choose from, have you?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We've one a few guys that are sick at the moment, but in terms of, it was good for us because a lot of guys had played lots of matches. As I said, 9 games in 5.5 weeks. It was a lot, and certainly 5 or 6 players needed a few days off, and that's what we've done. On the other hand, it's given the likes of Johnny Dunleavy, Gavin Hoolan, Stephen Folan, Stephen Beattie, all these guys, we've been able to do extra training with these guys because they'd obviously missed for a little while. So overall it's been good, and training this week has been very good. The lads have been very competitive. It's important, and it's amazing when you get your squad back to nearly full strength how competition for places heats up, and that's what you need, and it's important for us with the running coming in.
John Kavanagh still out, I presume?
Yeah, John is out, and John is going for another scan, and unfortunately for John it's not good. He certainly won't be playing in the next couple of weeks, and being realistic, when you look at the season only being 6 weeks left, I'm not sure he'll be featuring from now to the end of the season, but we'll have a better idea when we get a scan, unfortunately for him.
As you've been saying all season, there's no easy games, but the way the situation is at the bottom of the table now, every game for every team in the bottom 6 is like a cup final as well, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Yeah, it's the first time ever in the history, from my own point of view, looking back as a player or even as a supporter or a manager, can I ever remember it being so intense at the bottom, and it's fantastic for the league, and the fact that every game means something, and all the bottom teams are fighting so hard, and it's going to go right. It looks like it's going to go right to the wire, which is brilliant, and it's very hard to call who's going to stay up or who's going to go down. The beauty is that you have some massive clubs down in the bottom pack. Obviously Derry, Sligo in particular, and Derry, because obviously they have been synonymous with winning cups over the last 10 years. Not at that end of the table, but so it's brilliant. And but what it's done is that it's made every game that no one can counter their chickens, and that's why it's been so fascinating. So and we know obviously on Friday night with Derry that it's another huge challenge to us. You don't underestimate anyone. We have to play well to win the match, and but at the same time we know we're very close to Europe, and we need a few wins to get into Europe, and that's why it's an important game for us.
And all thoughts of the cup semi-final over the heads for the minute.
You're the first man to mention it to me, Billy. Oh yeah, just that Danny O'Connell is we've loaned him back to Carrigaline, so he's no longer part of us at the moment. Obviously he came in the summer and did very well, and he's a young man learning the game, and but obviously game time was becoming tight for him between now and the end of the season, and we felt it better that he went back to Carrickline on loan till the end of the season, and sort of we'll assess the situation in January again.
John, with Paul Haggerty coming in there, you mentioned there before, one of the players who was kick lumps over you when you're playing days. Are you expecting Derry to be a lot more abrasive now when they come down? They'll definitely be a different proposition on Friday night than the team we played.
Well, I think I think he's such a committed, passionate guy. I think he's rallied the team to play like the way he played. Albeit slightly different rules nowadays than that time, but at the same time, I'm sure the fact that they beat Rovers last week, and the indications and the reports I got back from it was that they played really well, and they were at it, and but that would be significant of Paul being in charge of them. So and plus the fact, I think you can't underestimate O'Connor and McCormack that they've brought in, because they've done well for them. And O'Connor's got them a few goals. McCormack is sitting in the middle of the park and is quite experienced and has done well. So from that point of view, it hasn't surprised me. Once Paul stays on his side of the dugout, I don't mind.
Just heard in there, I just read it, that it was Stuart Byrne mentioned it there in Rick Collins, just about the football management being a kind of a precarious occupation. Peter Hutton was 20th casualty, imagine. There's 12 teams in the Premier Division. He's a 20th casualty in a period of only 9 months. It is a precarious business, so isn't it? That's a big turnover for managers, really. I know some of them came in as caretakers and moved on, like Trevor Crowley and Matthews, people like that, left of their own volition. But that's fairly staggering stats.
Well, it's the downside of our game, and it's probably I suppose the area that unfortunately clubs, boards, chairmen don't understand the game, and they react to
a lot of acting haste.
Of course they're acting haste, like you go around and you look at it and saying, Trevor Crowley, people say he was a great manager. Rovers, last year didn't want them. You look at all the managers, you look at Mick Cook, his record with Drogheda was incredible for a team that had very little success in their career, and then he's back in doing a great job at Bray. The problem I think you have, unfortunately, is that the social world has changed. As I said, people don't seem to enjoy wins anymore. You can't win a game without people wanting to know what's going to happen in 10 games' time. And unfortunately, boards and chairmen react to this, and ultimately, if you take a club even like ourselves, Cork City, I think 99% of the Cork City people, the genuine people who follow us, who pay through the gate, can see that we're doing great work and we're working hard, and the team are achieving, from nowhere where they've come from. But still at the same time, you've certain people who will never be happy. And, if you have a board that aren't strong, if you have chairmen that aren't strong, changes are made. And, I think when you look at all these other clubs, I think a lot of the decisions that are made are certainly in haste. There's no doubt some of the decisions, one or two of them, would be correct, but I think the majority of them are certainly in haste. And unfortunately, we become part of the English culture. A guy loses one or two games, get rid of him, or so, without the consequences. And I always say that, when you make a change in any club, have you someone coming in that's going to make it better than what you've done? And you'd have to argue that in most of those cases, that hasn't happened. And case in point would probably be Sligo Rovers. They were challenging for leagues and cups up to a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden they're down in the relegation zone, and so that proves, and they've gone through several managers. So it's just, I suppose, it's just the way it is. And I suppose probably with social media now, so many people can make comments. A lot of them are fictitious. No one seems to know who they are, So, but unfortunately, some clubs and some boards and some chairmen are affected by that. And that's just the way it is. From my point of view, hopefully in Cork, I think we're a strong club. I hope we are. I think the management, the players have done tremendous work, but I think the majority of the sport, can see that. So.
With all due respects to Pat Fenton, I suppose if Rovers had their time over, they'd have held on to Stephen Kenny.
Which I suppose that's the case in point. If you look at Stephen's history, he had managed. He came from Longford Town. He did his grounding there, brought them to a couple of cup finals, and made them a very stable Premier club. Went to Derry and won quite a few trophies. Won trophies with Bohemians. So his pedigree was phenomenal. But again, he was a different personality than Michael O'Neill. And again, Michael O'Neill had by far the biggest budget in the league. He'd bought all the top players. He won 2 leagues because he's a very good manager, and obviously he qualified to Europa League, which was phenomenal by him in fairness. But he had the best players and he managed them well. But Stephen came in really and he had never had a chance. And I suppose in proof it shows. He went to Dundalk. They were on their knees 4 years ago, and he's turned them around. He's done a fantastic job. So absolutely, but I think most of the managers work hard, and I think any of the managers that work hard, I think you'll generally get your results, and I think that's why he's done so well and he's survived. And he's certainly a case in point. Probably that would be one that you definitely say that they reacted probably too quick. I suppose the last thing I think from our own league as well, which we're overlooking, is the first division, in the sense that the Premier coverage is good, but I think it's getting to the stage for us in this country that the first division needs to be regionalised. We need the first division to be based like the under-19 league and the under-17 league, and it's getting to the stage where I think the option and the opportunity should be there that if the top Premier clubs or all the Premier clubs want to put in a second team, they should be allowed to play in the first division. There's been talk given to it before, but no one is making decisions. To me, it's a simple decision. You make the first division south and north, and you play Waterford, Cove, Cork. Wouldn't Cove love if we were going on to play them twice? Waterford would love it. You know what I mean? And draw a line across from Dublin and have south down. We have the south division and you have the north division, and turn the first division into a competitive proper league. You're struggling with 7 or 8 teams there, whereas it's gone to the stage where we have players coming over on the 19 teams and they've no teams to play for. So there's no point in us having under 17 leagues talking about under 17 under 19s, fantastic leagues, we need them, but we're missing the gap in the middle. And the gap in the middle for me is that the first division needs to be regionalised, and we need to make it competitive, and to make it competitive is allow the Premier teams to put a second team in. I think that will be a very competitive league. I think it's a simple solution to make the first division, to make it a proper first division, and give the likes of Cove, Waterford, Athlone, Finn Harps and all these teams an opportunity to get bigger gates and make it more appealing, and reduces their costs, because obviously their travelling is reduced.
Welcome back, Gavin. Out for a long time with injury, but getting fit at the right time. We're at the business end of the season, so I'd say you're hoping to get back into the team, are you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, obviously it was out for about 6 or 7 weeks, so it was a decent length of time out. So just have to concentrate now on getting my fitness back, getting sharpness back, and trying to break back into the team. And like I said, it's the business end of the season, so we have a lot of big games to come, especially the semi-finals of the Cup. So hopefully be able to play some part in that. And
you were extraordinarily unlucky in the fact that you got injured just at the time when you got a run of games in the team and were contributing and doing well.
Yeah, I was but listen, that's football. It's unfortunate. These things happen, and it was disappointing, obviously, because like you said, I had got the run of games, and I felt that if I could get that, I could only improve. Listen, it just came at the wrong time for me, but I'm back now, and hopefully I can break back in and start contributing then to the end of the season.
Derry are going to be a different side on Friday because they have a new manager, so the cup win kind of last week kind of doesn't have any bearing on it.
Well, I think last week a lot was being kind of said and done by Hegarty. I think he was kind of the main man there last week anyway. So I think they'll probably play in a similar fashion. They gave us a tough game. It was tight up until Rossi's goal. So we're expecting a tough game, and we need the 3 points again.
A big cup match as well on the horizon. I imagine the whole squad is buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's important to keep the momentum going and keep the confidence going. So, you know, getting a win now Friday night ahead of the game next week would be a bonus, definitely.
John says no one's talking about the cup semi-final, but is that the case? He talking about it in the dressing room?
No, we take it one game at a time. I don't think he'd let us think that far ahead, like, you know.
It's the party line anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, we're just we're focusing on Derry. Then listen, we'll scratch that off and head on to next week then.
Would you be hoping to play a part, Kevin, in the cup run? You're not obviously the play matches coming up.
Yeah, well, hopefully, yeah.
Get on and get a bit of game time on Friday night.
Yeah, hopefully, if all is going well Friday night, get a few minutes under my belt. Like I said, it's all about just getting my fitness back up and sharpness, because it was a decent length of time I was out. So hopefully I can do that Friday and then maybe play some part then next week.